for me, I always believe opportunities will always be there. So I always say it's never about the opportunity of a lifetime. I think it's about the lifetime of that opportunity. I think when that opportunity rises, what do you do to be able to make the best of it? I got into rugby back in high school when I joined high school at Vihiga Boys in 2001. I don't know if by chance or by mistake, because I had gone to join the football team for the high school, but then again the lines were just too long, because I think like every Form 1 boy that joined wanted to play football. As I went there were lines all over, and I decided to go back to the dorm. And as I was going back, that's when I saw like a group of young boys who were throwing around an oval-shaped ball. And then that's when I remembered, my brother told me that the sport he plays has an oval-shaped ball. And that's when I knew that's rugby. And I went there, first touch of the ball, that was it. I got hooked, and since then I've played rugby ever since.
Rugby in Kenya started really as a sport played in, can I call them the old settler schools, elite schools, probably less than 10 in those days. And even traditionally, there's a lot of rugby even outside Nairobi. So if you look at some of the old clubs, Nandi Bears, Kitale, there was rugby there, Nakuru, dating back to the pre-World War days. And then sort of fizzled completely once post-independence, especially from the outposts of the country, and remained predominantly a Nairobi-based sport. And this sort of changed in around the late 1980s. There's a generation of fine rugby players from Kenyatta University. In those days, Kenyatta University only offered education, so most of them were teachers. And since they played rugby, they were posted to different regions of the country. And even for the ones who are in Nairobi, what would happen is Friday night they would commute, whether it's to Kakamega, to Kisii, to Nakuru. And so from around the late 1980s, you started seeing schools like Musingu High School, Kakamega High School, Cardinal Otunga, Kangaroo starting to play. I think rugby, it's like a drug. When you start it, it's difficult to stop.
When I started the game, I was attending uni, and balancing between the two was quite difficult, because I really want to go, I'm a young guy, really want to go for these tours. But then again, I know I have to make sure I finish my education. So it was quite a tough balance. And of course, just having the resources a bit really not up to standards.
When they are talking about rugby, the purists game, we're not there, because we've not been to the World Cup. And that's probably one of the things that keeps us a lot awake at night. We've had obviously challenges funding the team, because again, you get money when you're in the world stage, but how you get there, you need the investment, probably more now, for you to break that glass ceiling.
And of course, rugby not being a professional sport, most of the challenges that I've faced, and it has been throughout, it's in terms of getting contracted. Sometimes you get a 1-year contract, 1.5 years, and you see that way you can't really actually plan yourself properly.
The problem we have as sports is people look at a sport as amateur. So we played for the love of the game. We never really thought about it, that we could make money, etc. That has never been the intention. It was always for the love of the game. It's the favorite phrase we use. But this thing is a business. You need to now think about it as a business. And you can't think about it as a business if you're wearing your amateur hat. But you also need to have the risk capital, because a business cannot thrive if it doesn't have capital.
Sport is a passion point for all of us. At one stage or the other in our lives, we're either playing the sport or watching it, or we're fanatic about it, and so it's a great passion point for us to be able to connect with our customers on. I think, we've been able to partner with, for great sporting activities, all the way from athletics, which probably was the first sponsorship event we ever did, all the way into rugby. I mean, we've sponsored quite a big range.
Through the vision of Michael Joseph in particular, he was of the view that we needed to really create a proper rugby home so that all the rugby fans could be accommodated, because RFEA was quite stretched. And it's because of that the stand, there's the big stand, sits about 3,000 people. The fans call it the Russia Corner. If you go there when there's a test game, it's a fantastic place to be, very high energy. And through Safaricom's investment, that stand was built.
The fact that there's proper stands coming in now, and there's investment being left in the grounds, that makes the whole difference.
I think I have a very good outlook for Safaricom growing sports, especially seeing what they did with the sport that I love, rugby. I remember before they came in, the 7 series, the local 7 circuit, was quite a dull affair, but then they again picked it up and then attracted more fans to it. Then, as I mentioned, if you want to grow a sport, you have to grow the fans.
There seemed to be some sort of relationship between the Sevens and Safaricom. When I first went to the Safaricom, the Safari Sevens, when 3-4 years ago, I said I really would like to sponsor this because it sounded so good. The Safari Sevens, Safaricom Sevens, it sounded so good. It was a great match. It was a great attendance. It was very popular. And it would be great for Safaricom to sponsor it.
So there's obviously the support in terms of running the event, making sure it is a world-class event, good quality teams, and you saw the growth of the tournament every year.
Safaricom took rugby out of Ngong Road to Nyayo Stadium, and there was a lot of talk about Safaricom is spoiling the traditions, the crowds. I don't know what will happen, but contrary to what people believe, the event at Nyayo Stadium ended up becoming a very successful event.
The Nyayo Stadium, of course, we were used to that, a small place at the Kenyan Rugby Union where you could sometimes just score a try and just, if you look at the side, you high-five a fan. At the Safaricom Stadium, it was, you just felt you could feel the stadium atmosphere. And I think when we go outside there, that's what we feel. You play a place like Twickenham, that's what you feel. Because the stadium is all raised up. There are like 30,000 plus people there supporting you.
I think every Kenyan will recall the day Westgate was under siege by terrorists. That same weekend, we had about 40,000 Kenyans at Kasarani enjoying some good rugby. And when it became apparent that Westgate was under terrorist attack, so I had 2 problems. One, I thought that is a decoy. They've gone to Westgate so that all the security forces can focus on Westgate, and then they come to Kasarani for the big one.
It was a very trying time for the game and for the board, and also, of course, Safaricom was directly exposed because you're the lead sponsor of this event, which has happened in the midst of a terrorist attack.
It's taken by Biko Adema. Fumble!
Olympics as well. We didn't perform as we wanted to, but I think if you look at the games, they were quite tight. I mean, losing by a score each of those games was quite something that really, I think, personally got to me, because you can see the first game we only lost by a try, the second one same thing, third one same thing, going to the fourth one the same thing. I think we managed to get our first win in the 5th and 6th game. For me, I always believe opportunities will always be there. So I always say it's never about the opportunity of a lifetime. I think it's about the lifetime of that opportunity. I think when that opportunity rises, what do you do to be able to make the best of it?
Kenya Shujaa has beaten every rugby country in the world, and it's something we must be proud of.
When you're warming up for a game and we're preparing for a game, there's usually songs, dance, music, and that's when guys start getting into the mood. You get yourself in the mood, and as we are doing that in the changing room, you can see a guy dancing, then a guy says, hey, by the way, if today if you manage to score a try, you can do that, or you can do this, or come show you what we can do.
We've come close to going to the World Cup twice, and I think the next level for us is to go to the World Cup. In the last maybe 6-7 years, there has been a big push towards the women's rugby, and it has become one of our big success stories. We now have probably about 15 clubs playing women's rugby. Even when I meet people, they know Collins, they know Willie, they've seen them, they know Andrew. But there's a new cadre of the young under 20 guys who are coming up, who I think when we get to the World Cup, they'll be national heroes as well. And we want this to be a home of heroes. I think that's how Safaricom also branded Kasarani Stadium.
Injera, it's opened up for him. Typical Injera gives the pass. In fact, it's his brother who goes, and there his brother to Collins Injera, and there it is. The man who has scored more tries on the World Series than anyone else. A special moment for his family.
Another one for Kenya. It has taken them 114 tournaments to enjoy this moment.